get a good track of who was here, how many people came, and then make sure that that the money's going where it needs to go. So thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out tonight to join us in honoring our future soldiers. These young men and women from across the Southern Tier have stepped forward to begin a new chapter in their lives, and we thank them for it. I am Captain Andrew Currier, and I'm so proud to be the commander of the Southern Tier Army Recruiting Company and have this opportunity today to speak with all of you. As you go forward, each and every one of you will begin to put your own Army story together. And if you'll spare me just a moment before we begin, I'd like to tell you my Army story. I grew up an Army brat, born and raised in Germany, bouncing around from Army post to Army post. For me, it was a great life. I love to travel and explore, and when you're young and living in Europe, there's several lifetimes worth of things for you to do. I married my high school sweetheart, Noelle, who's also an Army brat. And after high school, we went off to college at Washington State, and it was my senior year when it really hit me, just like many of you right now, where it really hit me that I was going to have to find a real job. Now, the Army was always in the back of my mind, having grown up with it, so I went looking for an Army recruiter, just to see what my options were. Now, I'll be honest, my recruiter wasn't as great as the folks we have here. I had to find out a lot of those things on my own. But that's part of the reason I expect so much from my guys. But in the end, I decided to go the officer route. And after completing basic training, I continued on to officer candidate school and commissioned as a second lieutenant in 2008. My initial plan of 3 years has grown to nearly 10 years, and I've traveled across the U.S. and across the world. I have 3 kids, Matthew, Ryan, and Emma, who are just awesome, while at the same time being complete terrorists. I spent 2 years in Korea, 9 months in Kuwait, and 4 months in Liberia. And I went to Liberia with the 101st Airborne Division, who was tasked with a new kind of mission: eradicate Ebola before it became a worldwide pandemic. I'm extremely proud of that time with them. It was incredible seeing almost immediate results from our hard work. When we arrived in Africa, there were 162 new cases of Ebola being reported every day. The plan going in was for us to be there for 15 months. That was one of the worst case scenarios. But the amount of work that went in from across the world was just incredible. We worked with groups like USAID and the World Health Organization, the UN, and countless others to bring immediate relief. We brought in food and medical aid, helped rebuild their infrastructure. Top minds from across the world tackled the problem. And within 4 months of our arrival, the number of new cases had dropped to 0. I tell you this because we often forget about the incredible good the military does as well. I'm proud of my Army story, and I know I speak for First Sergeant Colwell when I say that we look forward to serving as your Army ambassador and welcoming you to the Southern Tier Company and the Army family. For me, coming to New York, my Army family grew quite a bit. As you can see, we stretch from across the entire bottom half of New York with centers in Vestal, Horseheads, Hornell, right here in Olean, and in Jamestown. To cover that massive area, I have the standard complement of 20 recruiters. So needless to say, we are very busy. But busy is a good thing. Being active in the community, in the high schools and colleges is so important. A few of us are from this area, but a lot, like myself, are not. That's why it's so important for us to get out from behind our computer and go out and help in the community. I'll tell you what, the incredible NCOs I work with every day are doing just that. I've been so impressed by the generosity shown and the outreach and community service that they provide every day. Sergeant Reifenberry and the Jamestown team, in coordination with Cindy and W. Pig, took time out of their weekend to work with special needs children. They worked hand in hand with Chris Blakesley of YMCA, who's helping low-income children to get involved in summer camps and other activities. That's important, and that's why I appreciate these volunteers from the community being here today, so thank you very much. Mr. Appleby is sharing his rich knowledge of history and personal experiences every day at his museum. The JROTC in Dunkirk and the ROTC at St. Bonaventure is developing the next generation of America's leaders within their classroom. These are just a few of the great people we get to interact with every day. Now, First Star and I have the best job in the Army. We get to drive up and down I-86 every day, hundreds of miles, back and forth. No, it gets better, I trust me. It's actually better than that, I promise. But we do this because it gives us an opportunity to meet people like this, like you, from all over New York State and hear their stories, in Pennsylvania as well. We get the opportunity to tag along with the great things the recruiters are doing. But most importantly, it gives us an opportunity to sit down and hear your Army story, or at least the first chapter. It's my goal to meet every one of the future soldiers before they ship out to basic training, to shake their hand, to welcome them into the Army, and make sure that there's nothing I can't do to help them before they leave. I love to hear your questions. You saw me walking around earlier. And in fact, we're going to do today, like I do at the end of all of my future soldier training, we're going to have a question and answer session. The reason's simple. We, and I mean we as in the recruiters, have been doing this for a long time. It's easy to forget to explain things that we take for granted. For example, let's test some people here. How many people in here knew that all the branches, jobs, MOSs of the Army were open to men and women? Show of hands. Okay. And how many people knew that Special Forces, Rangers, and other elite organizations were open to everyone who could pass the rigorous tests? Yeah? Okay, good. Good. That means my recruiters are doing their job, so that's good. And I say rigorous tests, but there's many levels to that, starting with the OPAT and the initial physical fitness test. And that's where the Future Soldier program starts as well. Trust me, I understand it can get repetitive, and my recruiters go to great lengths to keep it fresh. And PT is a huge part of that. You know, I know those stairs in Jamestown don't run themselves. Your PT program there in Jamestown, Sergeant Riff, is setting the example for the company. And Sergeant Treptow has surprised us by volunteering for every Spartan, Tough Mudder, Bone Frog, something or other within 500 miles. And he loves it. And he brings us to it now, too. And then I mentioned the OPAT a minute ago as well. This group that's before me are leading the way in this new program. You're shaping the future of the Army with your actions and helping to build a stronger formation. The OPAT, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a new 4-event physical fitness test for recruits that began this year, and which will serve as the physical equivalent of the ASVAB. You all took it and you all passed it. Allowing the service to place incoming soldiers on career paths that match their fitness levels and are set for a physical standard that are designed to help with that process. Having that strong foundation is so important. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a PT stud in order to go. Trust me, by the time you leave basic training, you're going to be in the best shape of your life. My recruiters will make sure that by the time you leave here, you're ready to go. Whether you feel that way or not, you'll realize it when you get there. I always tell everyone, the more you know now, the more you're going to get to sleep when you get to basic training. So take the time to start memorizing the Soldier's Creed, your 3 general orders, so that when you get to basic, you'll have a leg up on everyone else there. This and much, 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 much more are all the things that are on the basic training task list. That's a huge part of why this training is so important. It helps you to start to get into the mindset, and it helps prepare you for what comes next. It can be a scary concept as it gets closer and closer to reality, as you get closer and closer to your ship date. Anyone who tells you they weren't a little bit nervous before they left for basic training is lying to you. I was scared out of my mind. But I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Everyone's got an idea of what basic training is, but until you live it, you don't really know. That's why it's so important to get rid of those preconceived notions you may have had based off of movies or whatever, and actually prepare for the real thing. And bring a friend. Even if they're not interested in joining right now, come work out with us. Bring them to our events, and maybe even enjoy dinner with us. But the best part is if you do bring a friend, and they decide to join, completely voluntary, I can promote you. Like I said earlier, we're from all over the place. But only a few of us are actually from here. It takes us 3 years to learn who everyone is. And by that time, it's time for us to leave, and a new person starts the process all over again. Clearly, you made the decision to join for whatever reason. Adventure, travel, paycheck, school, duty to country. You probably know a friend who's also interested. Or maybe on the fence, they could benefit from some of the same opportunities that you saw. If they join, I can promote you. It doesn't even have to be someone you walk in. If you're helping us by participating in our events, putting out flyers or business cards, and they come in from your area, I can promote you. Put a little rank on your chest and money in your pocket before you even leave for basic training. I love promoting people. It's the best part of my job. I'll even get on that airplane with you and promote you at 30,000 feet if I have to. Be pretty cool. Let's take a look here. And before we get on that airplane, I'm going to give you just a quick overview of what to expect. Don't worry, we'll go fast and shotgun a lot of this, but everything you see here, you'll have copies of again later. You can read them over my shoulder, but I just want to give you an overview of what to expect as you get closer to your ship day. Also, it's important for everyone, if at any time you feel like you don't know what should happen next, call a timeout. I'd rather we have to tell you a million times than for us to forget and never tell you something that can hold up the entire process. But the most important thing, be on time, have or find as quickly as possible any documents your recruiters need. So important, it slows it down. Now let's jump ahead a little bit. This is what you guys are all getting ready for. It's the day before you show up. You, your family, your friends, you'll all meet up at the recruiting center. They'll go over your packing list with you, make sure you have everything you need. For the active duty folks, we'll take you up to Buffalo, where they'll put you in a nice hotel for the night and then back to Maps early the next morning. For those joining the reserves, you go home and a recruiter will pick you up and drive you directly to the airport the next morning. Now, I always ask people what they think the scariest part of basic training is. And I get a million different answers, all of which are right. But the one I'm looking for is actually kind of a cheat. Because the scariest part of basic training is not basic training. To be honest, you're way too busy at basic training to be scared. The scariest part of basic training is the night before you ship. Everyone is nervous before they head out, starting on this new adventure. It's scary for every single person there. Don't let that be what stops you. Now, what is scary is the mess. We all went through there. I swear, it is their job to make everything 10 times harder than what it needs to be, and guess what? You get to go back. But this time is pretty easy. They're going to inspect your folder, make sure everything's squared away, give you a ticket for your flight wherever it is you're going for basic, and then let you go on your way. Like I said, reserves, we take you to the airport. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. Now, arriving at reception, let's take a quick poll. Who here is going to Fort Leonard? Show of hands. You're going to see each other there. Who's going to Fort Jackson? Not a lot of Jackson, okay. Fort Sill? Okay, 1, 2, okay. All right. Fort Benning. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Before you class up, you're going to spend a couple of days in what's called reception. That's where you'll get all the things up there. Your uniforms, ID cards, all kinds of medical checkups that are a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy that part. But it's also where your introduction to the Army begins. It's where you're going to realize that all those things you're struggling to remember, you've already seen during future soldier training. Basic training is intense, I'm not going to lie. But it's also so much fun. And it's the beginning of an incredible journey, as goofy as that sounds, that you're each about to embark on. I challenge all of you, whether you do an enlistment, get out, or stay in and make it a career, to make it something you're proud of, something you're excited about, and something you're willing to get up in front of a group of people and share your Army story with. The Army's been an incredible journey for me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for stepping forward, for taking that step that so few do. I look forward to serving this great country with each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now at this time, we're going to set up real quick, and we're going to do a question and answer with each of you. Please feel free, as I said as I went around. If you have any questions, any concerns, any thoughts, please let us know. Now give us 5 minutes to set up. If you need to get some water or go use the bathroom, please do so. And then come back to the seats, ready to ask us some questions.